Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Around the Table GTA. Again, shout out to Vidal for the covers. We are moving into the spooky season, so I'm prepping all those happy Halloween type people to the vibes. And as the weather does get colder, we are going to switch up the beats. With that being said, we're going to be doing driving part two. Hopefully, we talk more about driving, but I will start off with physically driving, getting into a car. So, like recently in the last episode, you already know, and from the other episodes leading to this, I have been driving a lot more. And what I can say that I do enjoy about driving is that you are managing your time more, and it's interesting actually being in the driver's seat because you actually have to pay a lot of attention. And as you drive more, you kind of get a little bit more careless. I'm not saying I'm a careless driver, I'm not saying that I'm a reckless driver, but when you tend to start, you don't want to really speed, you don't really want to like eat or drink something, both hands on the wheel all the time, and as time goes on, you just get more and more comfortable, kind of like anything too. So like, I'm gonna switch over to driving with training at work. Like I'm a trainer, backup trainer at work, as well as my main occupation, right? And I teach people how to use machines. And today I actually showed someone how to drive multiple machines, like four different machines. And the last machine was something that they weren't used to, and it's something that they really wanted to drive and learn. And I told them, I'm like, you're excited for the wrong reason, because this machine is not what you think it is, and it's not as fun. And ultimately, I had to show them how to drive it, and the limitations and what you can and can't do, what you have to be careful of, right? And it's the same thing with driving, where when you get into your vehicle, you could do a lot of crazy things. Recently, I was on the highway with a friend, and we had this we had this motorcycle person zoom in. Right, it's the highway, so you're supposed to be zooming, but it's night. You have low visibility. Long story short, we almost rammed into this guy. I wasn't driving, by the way, so it wasn't me. I saw it. I was like freaking out. I'm like, yo, 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 yo. And we didn't hit the dude, but the dude did a nice bend and then like curved around the car and just kept zipping at like 100 plus miles per hour, right? And that's the type of control and confidence that you need to be having when you're driving. And that same level of confidence, that same kind of attention and focus is what you should be doing to drive yourself in life as well, right? Like right now, I'm getting back into the habit of doing more episodes because my drive, my goal, where I saw myself at the start of the year till now is at least making 52 episodes, right? So I got to get back into that, even though I've had a lot of different other things on my plate, right? And it's just trying to handle all the food that you're being served, right? When you have an order and all the food comes all at once, it's kind of hard to manage. But if you just take your time, you could get everything done. But if you take too much time, then you can't get everything done, right? Because this is a weird food analogy, but if you do know about eating, the longer you take to eat, basically your brain is thinking that you're eating more. So if you actually want to eat less, you should eat slower because it's activated in your brain, right? But that's we'll get to like diet and food in another episode. But long story short, if you want to gain weight slower, just take your time to eat and you'll be less hungry, right? And that leads to all of that. But getting back to driving, right? Like I said, it's definitely a thrilling experience. It's the experience that I think everybody should deal with. Right? Like for me, I think I've told this story before, but I got into like a crazy car accident in my teens, and then the day after, I was in a car that was going like 200 miles because of different scenarios, and that stopped me from driving sooner than later, right? And you know, when we are aiming for our goals, shooting for the stars and all of that, we have to push ourselves outside of our comfort zone. Sometimes you need a little bit of help, right? You need that friend who's a little bit of a hater. That's the word of the week, because I have some friends who are trying to gaslight me to play a game that I'm not going to be playing. So if they hear this, which they probably won't for a while, anyways, no, I'm not playing, and you can't gaslight me. I don't want to do it, right? And that's the thing where when you have the drive, when you have the focus, when you're very concentrated, if you actually put your thought, your mind to stopping or starting, you can push away all of these things, right? We are in a society full of distractions. So many people are distracted with so many stupid things. Like I said in my last episode, I have a social media phone, which is basically a tablet, and then I have my main phone that has a little bit of work stuff and minimal apps. Why? Because I want to stay focused. Because I didn't download everything onto that phone yet, which I don't have to, right? And these are the things that kind of hold us back, right? Going back, because I am a 90s kid, quotations mark, but in the 90s, in the 80s, in these times before the internet, there was that space where you couldn't really do stuff, and there was different things that were kind of barriers to things that are so accessible in this age, right? Like if you wanted to talk to somebody on the phone, you'd have to call their house, and anybody could pick up the phone, right? It could be their parents, it could be their older sibling, it could be them, right? So you had that kind of fear, I guess, at least at those times, where it's like, oh no, what if I have to talk to this person? But if you call enough, you get to know that person's family, and it could actually help the relationship. It's like, oh, who's that guy who calls you all the time? It's like, oh, it's this person. And then they might start talking to you, and that becomes a budding relationship or whatever. Or like, if you break up, it's just like, oh, that girl doesn't call anymore, what happened, right? There was a little bit less privacy, but it's something that helped gain experience or confidence. And the fear, or you could even say adrenaline from it, is something that would drive you to kind of like do it more, or drive you not to, right? And the guys or the girls who were brave enough to do these things got more, right? It's the same thing as like going over to someone's house back in the day too. You have to knock and hope that it wasn't their parents, and even if it was their parents, there was more of a barrier, right? You couldn't talk to these people unless you went to their house, you met them outside, or they were in your space, right? It's not like now where you could open your phone, you could post online, you could go live, and this is kind of drive people into staying in their room and not being their authentic self, right? And that's very interesting. But going back to the main topic, driving, right? It's a test of like will and boldness, right? In the last episode, I did talk about living in a city with a lot of bad drivers, and an example that I would use is like people not using their signals. And that might seem, oh wow, you're being nitpicky, but when someone turns 3 lanes last second, when the light's yellow because they need to make a last minute turn because they just realized it without checking, and just almost running into your car, it's crazy. It's like that Family Guy clip with the Asian lady, and she's like, oh, good luck everybody, and then there's a giant crash. That's that's the battlefield that I deal with driving in the city that has like, I think we're in the top 5 insurance, right? So not only are you paying out your ass, but at the same time it's like life or death. Bumper cars, you're basically like playing Twisted Metal without the weapons, or like Mario Kart if you're not aware. So like you have to either become like a defensive driver or an overly aggressive driver, because people aren't paying attention, right? And that's the thing where public transit is a little bit more safer, and you could relax a little bit more because it's not on you, right? Or getting an Uber or any kind of ride sharing thing, taxi, limousine, whatever. It's not you who's in charge. But when you kind of lose that freedom, it's weird because driving's kind of one of those things where it's hard to go back, right? like recently, and when I say recently, I mean like yesterday or like basically 2 days ago, this weekend, I went to an event because I didn't want to drive all the way to that city, right? So I took public transit, and I was almost to the point where it's like I rather drive in crazy traffic and pay a crazy amount parking fee just so that I don't have to deal with all of this, right? I had two people gossiping for 40 minutes about nothing, and then a random person just had their music blasting crazy in a freaking train, right? It's not Japan where like everything's a little bit quiet, but yeah, it was an experience, and it's just like I used to deal with this every single day, right? Like anybody who has taken the bus or like the subway, right? Here it's the TTC. There's someone playing their music, they're blasting their music, they're watching a video, and it's just like you can't invest in some headphones, right? Do you think everybody wants to hear this nonsense? No, nobody does, right? Or maybe some people do, right? But realistically, that's what happens when you're dealing with public transit. You're exposed to the public, and when you have your own private vehicle, it's another form of ownership, right? And it's a time to expand and grow yourself, right? And inside your car, outside your car, you could decorate it, you can make it more personal, right? Some people get custom plates. I really want to get custom plates, but at the same time, I think it's a weird, like, it's a love hate thing for me, because you could get custom plates and yeah, it's like, oh, that's my car, but at the same time, everybody knows that's your car, right? And if you live in an area, or if maybe somebody's tracking you, like if you live in a bad area, or if let's say you have a stalker or whatever, they could easily track you if you have custom plates. Yeah, they could still track you even if you didn't have custom plates, but having custom plates makes it a little bit easier to do that, right? So that's a downside for that. But overall, driving is something that just opens a lot more opportunities, right? You could travel anytime you want. Obviously, you have to pay gas and insurance, right? But you're on your own time. You could travel more, and it makes things a lot more open, right? Like if you live in one city and you get a job somewhere else, you could go a lot further on your own time again, right? And if you're down in the dumps, worst case scenario, you could sleep in your car and just figure out places to actually crash so that your car doesn't get towed, right? Because I think it's illegal. I don't know. I haven't had to deal with that, right? But the ownership of it is interesting. But I could say that some of the stuff that sucks is maintenance, right? I haven't had my car too long, but I think I've spent at least $1,000 on maintenance for different things, right? But like anything that you own, you have to take care of it, and if you don't take care of it, it's gonna fall apart, right? So it's up to you to drive yourself to another level. But we're gonna do a part 3 potentially, right? If we're driving, but we're gonna still continue on part 2 here, where it's developing the drive, developing the grit, developing the attitude, developing the mindset to continue with the momentum to grow, right? Like right now, I'm doing episodes at 5 a.m. in the morning because I've been distracted with so many other things in my life that I'm doing this podcast episode this late, mainly because A, I'm focused, B, I actually want to get this done, C, I have that long-term goal of 52 episodes, D, I know I'm going to be busier sooner, so I might as well get it all done, and I know that I could reward myself after the episode, as well as I know that for the rest of the day, outside of actually going to work, I could literally finish this episode, edit it up, go to bed right now, go to bed in like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, get enough sleep to get to my full-time job, and then come back. I'm going to the gym tonight, and I'll have enough energy to do all of this. So it's kind of like the final form of, or like the final flash, or just like that, the rest of your energy using that, right? Like, I don't know. For me, I have, I feel that I know a lot of my limits, right? But as I get challenged every day, I know that I could push more, right? And I think I did talk about doing a half marathon last year, right? And yeah, I'm just gonna go through a synopsis with you guys, or just like cut it short. But basically, um, I only ran 10K before I actually did the half marathon because I got injured, right? And I was still able to do it, right? So you know that you could push yourself. And even recently at the gym, I've been doing a little bit more research, and it's just like, okay, if I want to look a certain way, I have to put myself under more stress. I have to lift stuff heavier, right? And I'm like, let me just try this weight, and I was able to do it. And it's like, I've never tried to do that much, right? Because I've limited myself either because of my shoulder or other things, or I've had like an 18-hour day, and then I'm still going to the gym because you know, I just want to commit to whatever it is, right? Whether it's my cosplay for next year, or the shape that I want to be in, or just looking a certain way. And that pushed me to try to get all of these things done, because sometimes I know, like, for me, if I have a lot of stuff on my plate and I have the plan to do all of it, like every time I do a little bit, I just get more and more invested, right? That's why I'm doing this episode so late, because like, okay, well, I did one episode, maybe I could do a second episode, maybe I could do a third episode. Oh damn, I'm really tired, I'm gonna go to sleep, and then just do another episode, right? We have to know what drives us to make sure that we get successful, but at the same time, we don't want to be doing things that are too crazy or chaotic that it ruins our bodies, right? Recently with my new phone, it has like this emotion kind of tracker, and I've been using it trying to see like my mental state, or at least focus on my mental state and see where I can improve and where I think I need help with, right? And I think what I'm gonna do for the next episode, I'll write it down. I know I'm gonna do a fishing episode, but I'm also gonna do an episode on like hacks, body hacks that you could use because you're getting older. If I didn't do that episode already, I gotta go back and watch some of these episodes. But for all the people who do like the Spotify stuff, I'm going to be posting more stuff on Spotify very soon. I'll try to catch it up to what we have on YouTube right now, so that everybody could choose the media that they prefer, right? And again, if we get more views for longer stuff, I have longer episodes like this. I am not a 1 hour, 2 hour podcast type of person. I know how my audience is, and I know how people could be, and we're in a society that's dealing with a lot of short-term stuff, and it's hard to make long form faceless content, right? But I'm going to pursue it until I feel that I'm comfortable enough to just do stuff on cam. Worst case, I'll do like some type of VTuber stuff, so maybe I could get someone commissioned me an avatar, and then you could see a talking avatar. Or if I win the lottery, or when I win the lottery, I could get someone to do kind of like an art version of me while I talk, and then they animate my animated person. I think that'd be nice. And then it'd be a little bit more friendly visually, right? Other than just hearing the sensational voice of me. But anyways, that was driving part 2. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. If you are thinking of driving, I do think it's a great idea. Just be ready. Make sure you have the money. Make sure you have money, extra money above it. So if your car is like 20K, make sure you have like 30K, just because of the stuff that you might run into, changing your lifestyle, will affect it, right? More bills means less stuff you could buy, but at the same time, you get to explore the world on your time, and it does feel amazing. So, hopefully, you guys like this episode. We'll catch you on the next one, and take care.